Hinds is a garage indie rock band from Spain, and I am very late with this review. Like friggin' late, like 8 months or something. This is unreal. But I'm glad I got to it eventually though, because I decided to just stick it on. Not really much was really like out last week, so I was just like, yeah, I've got time, let's listen to something different. And then I listened to it and thought it was really good, so I've been listening to it since then, and just to see if it keeps sticking with me or if it ever like wears off. But no, it's actually been a really enjoyable album to listen to. I find the vocals on this album, like the harmonies, if you could even call them harmonies, because they're a little like off key and shrill at times and quite flat in the way that they're delivered. But I just find it all so charming. I just think the way that they all come together and just like sing without really caring about anything is just so inspiring. I know I've been like critical of other artists in the past, like Trippie Redd and Kid Cudi, 070 Shake, about how like bad they are at singing and how I can't really get into projects like Ye and Kids See Ghosts because of the singing. But I think there are certain times where it kind of works in the artist's favour. I was discussing this the other day actually with some of the music folk, and we were all kind of like talking about how like bad singers aren't always necessarily a hindrance to the music, and Will Toledo is a good example of that. I wouldn't describe him as a bad singer, but for what the genre of music is, he is substantial enough. And I think in this case, Hinds, for what they're doing, the lo-fi garage indie rock sound, it's pretty part and parcel to have a vocalist, or multiple vocalists in this case, to not really be the best of their ability. I mean, it's mostly more about the music and how the mixing is slightly off to add to the overall aesthetic. And sure, sometimes the vocals do blare out a little bit too much, like perhaps they could have been mixed a bit better, but I just think it adds to the whole wholesomeness of the whole album, the intimate feel of everything, while also just being so like laid back and not giving a fuck. So many of the guitar melodies are just fantastically written on this album. They just stand out in the mix in a really good way, so every track just flows in a really nice way. There's never any like stiff moments, which can sometimes come out of like lo-fi albums where like the mixing is so off that nothing stands out, whereas on this album, the guitar melodies really stand out and end up sticking in your head so much. There are so many hooks on the album too. Like, I didn't really expect to have so many of the songs get stuck in my head, but yeah, they're just constantly like ringing around my head every few days. Like, I just end up finding myself singing one of the songs, and I don't know, not many indie bands these days have that effect on me, I wouldn't say. Especially when this band did break out a few years back, and they were kind of just like that indie darling that a lot of like music publications were pushing forward, and I just had no interest in them. Whereas I think this sophomore album has certainly prevailed over that debut. Tracks like Linda are just such a fantastic ballad. Like, it is really a great little ballad, and I think despite the fact that English isn't their first language, they can still write and pen a good track when it comes to its strong lyricism, and this is a great example as well here. And overall, it's just so summery, it's just so carefree, and I just vibe with that so much. And I probably sounded like an absolute lame twat for saying vibe, but what can you do? I just wanted to get this review out there though, because I do think it's an album worth talking about, and despite the fact that I am really late to it, I don't think it matters too much, because it matters that it's a great album and it's gonna be like a year-end list contender for me because I just enjoy it so much. The closing track is definitely the weakest track though. I mean, everything the album had going for it, these like just really charming hooks, these really like guitar melodic tracks that feel really like summery and fun, was just sucked out of that last track. It really kind of ruined the closer the closing moments for the album. It's a shame, but it's really only one track, and the album's so short anyway that it doesn't really have that much of an impact on the overall experience, so it's not too much of an issue. But yeah, I mean, lo-fi type music usually doesn't resonate with me too much, but Hinds have done it here, right? This one, I think it's a really good album. So, I'd like to see where they can go from here, perhaps improve the mixing a little bit on the next release, and they'll probably even top this one. But for now, I'm really liking this. Gonna go quite a light 8 out of 10. Hope you enjoyed this review. Make sure you check it out as well if you've not. It didn't really get much hype and has been pretty overlooked for most of the year. Perhaps there's a reason for that, but I do highly recommend it. So I think it is one of those albums that deserves that slight more attention in the way of the music community, I think, at the moment. Let me know your thoughts if you have heard it though. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. Have a good day.